for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC London. Yes, we are back in Europe, in London. It's been about 3 years now since they went back there, obviously because of the pandemic. Ton of English fighters, of course, right, on the card. Some European fighters as well. We'll be going over the main card like usual, breaking down the fights, giving some free picks, leans, and maybe some fights to stay away from. What can I say, guys? The run continues. Yes, this is a somewhat of a crazy run. I would say it's my second highest run in UFC betting. 25-3 right now. That's 89%. Another perfect card last week, going 5-0 on all the bets, all the fights, and it's been great right now. Things been going my way. Some regression could come, I'm sure. And it's expected when you're this hot, right? When you're at 89%. Just being truthful with you guys, just because I've been doing this for a long time. Fairly big volume card with 5 total fights. 2 weeks ago, I think it was a little lower volume with only one or two bets. And this week I'll have at least 4 or 5 fights that I like, and I will send already out to my clients. So if you are interested in that card, definitely head over to the website to get on board. You know, I wasn't on the Ankalaev fight, even though I did think he was going to win. I did mention to you guys he is going to win the fight. Didn't look super impressive doing it, but Santos is a tough guy to fight, veteran. Some would say obviously the toughest test for Ankalaev, and he passed it. He did get hurt in that second round. That was a little bit concerning, but, you know, Santos hits like a brick. So, you know, it's a tough fight either way for Ankalaev, and you look at it, and he did pass it. He did look better in the third, fourth, and fifth round to get the decision win. I wasn't sure on if he was going to, because he does fight to a lot of decisions. He's not a type of guy that just finishes you. He just kind of beats you with skill, and he is fairly well-rounded. So I did not bet the fight. If I did, it would have probably been by finish at plus money. But I told you guys it could go either way. So I stayed off that fight. But yeah, it wasn't super exciting. It was both high-level guys, you know, going at it. The wins last week, though, were Maverick. We were on the Maverick side, easy win by sub. We did parlay that with Pereira. I know some people weren't on the Pereira side. They liked the value with, why am I forgetting who it was? Bruno Silva. But yeah, Pereira, he's the real deal, guys. Pereira is the real deal. You guys are going to start understanding that. And he showed that his takedown defense was good. His takedown defense was good enough. So obviously with Glover, that's all they're working on, right? They're working on that a ton because we know he doesn't really need to work on his striking. His striking is high level, very high level. So we were on his side. We parlayed it. We got plus money there. We were on the Yusuf by decision at plus 137. That was a nice cash as well. And we did have Robertson and Aldridge over 2.5 rounds. That was my favorite play, actually, of the whole card. No threat that was going over. The only reason that wasn't a best bet, it's a women's MMA at the end of the day. I don't have too many best bets on women's MMA. Overall, let's look at the weekly update, guys. Let's look at the weekly update. 25-3 run, as mentioned, 89%, 81-39 long term. That's the more impressive. I'm not saying anyone can go on a 25-3 run because they can't, but the 81-39 long-term run is more impressive in my eyes. 68%, guys. 81-39 long-term. 65% best bets. That's 3 years. So that's 3 years. That's the also an impressive number when it's that long, right? It just shows that we profit long-term here with the system. And over 50 units in profit, 51 units in profit. NBA, second hottest sport right now. 2-0 last week, 6-0, 7-0 run right now, 44-21, 68%, guys, on the season. Yes, we are low volume. I don't bet NBA every day. I don't think it's smart to bet NBA every day. I pick my spots. I have 1 or 2 games that I usually like throughout the week. over 15 units in profit as well. PGA on the wrong side of the weather last week. We had 2 or 3 bets that had that morning early tee time, and 2 out of those 3 bets didn't even make the cut. So we got beat with the weather there. That was tough. 5 of the last 7 profitable cards, though, which is good news. 68%, guys, best bets in the 2.5, almost 3 years, and one pending this weekend. Just bear with me there. NHL 1 in 1 week. NHL 1 in 1 week. Still 65% on the year, even lower volume than the NBA. NHL's tough, guys, with spots just because the prices suck. I would never lay anything higher than minus like 135, 140 on a regular season NHL game. It's just tough. So usually I'll find it in a parlay. It'll be a parlay piece. 2 teams that I really like to win. Parlay it, get plus money. That's the way to do it, right? Good news about the MLB. The MLB is back, guys. It is back. I already sent out a future outright winner to my clients. I'll have a couple more futures coming up. Still a few weeks away from the season. But, I do handicap MLB, but it's a low volume as well. It's not a sport you want to bet every day. It's a pitching type of style matchup betting that I use. Obviously, also, I look at track records against teams, home and away. Home and away doesn't matter too much in the MLB, but we also look at, obviously, streaks and whatnot, situational handicapping in the MLB. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this main card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and it takes you less than a second to do that, so it is much appreciated. Systemsportscapping.com to become a client today. Get on board, guys. We profit long term. Only roughly 5% of handicappers profit long term. We have a proven system to profit long term. Shout out to a new year subscriber, Shaheen, long-term follower. Much appreciated from you, Shaheen. You're going to get all my personal plays now instead of, just picking and choosing through the emails. As you can see, a lot of the times, guys, I like prelim fights. I like, main card fights, of course, as well. But there's, for example, last week, a few prelim fights that I like that I give out to my clients. Let's get right into it. Why not, right? Let's get right into the main card. Main card in London. Yes, in London, England. The fans should be wild, all right? Fans should be wild, and we have a ton of English fighters on the card, on the main card, all over the card. It should be fun. Remember, early start time, 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern if you're on the Eastern timeline. Aspinall, minus 110. Line has moved. 125 I see. I even see a 138 there, which is tough to get to. Against Volkov, minus 110 here on the card, but you can get Volkov at plus money right now. Aspinall, I love the guy. I like what I see from the guy. This is a big step up, right, versus Volkov. The question is he ready? Is he ready to make that big step up to Volkov? He has looked good so far in the UFC versus limited competition, but you have to look at the wins, right? They are against a couple solid guys. Spivak is solid, very good fighter. That was a good win, and I think his toughest test yet. And he did pass the tough test against Andrei Arlovsky as well as a veteran. He did a little bit struggle at times in that fight, but he was able to, remember that crazy running tackle that he did? That was impressive. So I think that should be his game plan here, guys. So he does have a couple solid wins on the resume. However, this is a step up in competition versus Volkov, a vet in the game, fought all around the world. Bellator champion, has fought the best of the best in this heavyweight division. Very tall and a long guy to fight with solid striking. Volkov doesn't just use his boxing, his kicking game is really solid as well. So Aspinall had to go train with taller guys. Aspinall's not a short guy. He's a big guy as well, but Volkov is a lot bigger, a lot taller. So he had to change his training, and he had to go trade with guys, kickboxers I've heard in Holland, that were taller and tall like Volkov, because he is not used to fighting someone at that stature, right? We don't see a ton of wrestling from Volkov. I did mention, obviously, his striking, but he can wrestle, guys. He can wrestle if needed. We've seen it from time to time. Not against elite guys like Blades. Blades will just take you down. I think he took him down 12 or 13 times in that fight. But Aspinall is not going to do that. He hasn't shown that. He shows that he likes to strike, right? He shows he likes to strike. Volkov is coming off a big win versus Tabora. Close fight. It wasn't an impressive win, but it was a big name win because Tabora was climbing up the rankings. Remember, guys, Tabora was on a nice win streak, and Volkov shut it down. And that's what he's looking to do here too, right? Volkov did have that loss against Gon where he didn't look good, but it's gone, right? Gon's making everyone look bad. And he stood up and fought the whole 5 rounds, if I recall, went 5. This is a tough fight to call. I agree with the minus 110 price, but I'm not agreeing to Aspinall moving to minus 138 or 125. There's value with Volkov now. Aspinall is fighting at home, which of course could be a plus. However, for a younger guy, it might not be a plus. It may be pressure, right? So that's something to consider. And where Volkov's not going to have any pressure. He's fought all around the world on the road, right? He's fought everywhere. The only thing you want to keep in mind here with Volkov is the Russian war with him having issues getting over to England. This fight may not have happened. They had a backup for this fight, guys. So keep that in mind. How much does that play here on Volkov? How much was he training? How much was he worried about other things? Maybe he wasn't even thinking he was going to come over because they have a backup right now in England in case it didn't happen. So keep that in mind. They probably would have had anyways if there was like a weight cut issue or something like that, but it's heavyweight, so you're not going to see too much of a weight cut issue. But yeah, there was a backup for this fight. They didn't think this fight was going to happen 100%, so keep that in mind here. Now, I think Aspinall is possibly maybe the heavyweight champion at one point in his career. Is it too soon? Is it too soon? That's the big question. We're going to have to find out. Is it too soon for Aspinall? Because he's fighting a guy who's really good on his feet. I expect Aspinall to want to mix it up if he wants to win this fight. He's going to have to mix up some grappling. He's going to have to mix up some wrestling and just try to maybe get this fight to the ground. See if he can get Volkov to the ground, which is no easy task. That's why I think Aspinall may struggle in this fight. Another reason is we haven't seen him out of the second round. If this fight goes to third, fourth round, Volkov has a good path to win this fight. We've seen Volkov fight in many 5-round fights, right? So I can see Volkov winning this maybe by like a decision if it gets deep. But I think Aspinall would have to win this fight in the first couple rounds for him to win this fight, right? We haven't seen it. Maybe he could go 5 rounds. I don't know, but we have not seen it. So look for Aspinall to win this fight early. If not, Volkov wins this fight. This fight's not going to be on my client card. I am not going to bet this fight. I'm going to lean Aspinall as a pick here. I do not love it, though. It's a lean. I can see Volkov winning this fight. This is a toss-up, guys. This is a toss-up fight. Big step up for Aspinall. Let's see if he can do it. I'm just going to sit back and see if he's ready to make that big step. Next fight, co-main event, Allen, minus 120 versus Dan Hooker. Hangman Hooker is back. He'll take a fight anytime, anywhere, against anybody. Allen favor, minus 120 versus Hooker, plus 100. Definitely value with Hooker there. This should be a fun one, guys, and could steal the fight of the night, I think. Hooker's coming down to 145 for the first time. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's always a red flag for me. So, you don't really know how he's going to cut weight, how he's going to come down to that weight, how is it going to carry over to the fight. Hooker said this was the plan, apparently, to go down here always. He wanted to always fight at 145. And this is a big test for him in Allen. This will be Allen's biggest test as well, though. This will be Allen's biggest test, and it's not really that close. He did beat Yusuf. That was his best win so far. He did look fairly good in that fight. But Hooker's a different animal. He's been in there with everybody. He's been, in there with the best. Poirier, Ankala, even though even though, what's his name? Islam destroyed him, but that was more of a grappling heavy approach, and that's what I think Allen should do here, guys. If Allen stands and bang with Hooker for 3 rounds, I think Hooker gets a decision win. However, if Allen incorporates some wrestling and some grappling, I think that's his path to win here. Now, it's not like Allen's like a superior wrestler and he's going to be able to just bring down Hooker. Hooker improved his wrestling, it looked like, especially in that Nasbras fight. You saw him being able to control the wrestling game and get up, and it looked better, right? Allen's not a dominant wrestler, so he's not going to be able to just dominate Hooker on the ground. It's not going to happen. Is he going to try to mix it up? I think he will, because he's going to realize Hooker's tough to fight for 3 rounds on the feet. So I think he's going to have to mix it up and make it an MMA fight. And if it's close, they may give it to Allen because he's at home, right? The judges may give it to Allen if it's a close fight at home. But what I like in this fight, I will not be betting a side on this fight. But what I do like, is the fight to go maybe over the 2.5 rounds, fight to go the distance is something I'll be looking at and may make my client card. Paddy the Baddie Pimblett is back, guys. Minus 420 here. You'll see it opening line. It moved, guys. It's up to minus 500 now. Vargas plus 350. I get it. I get the hype. I don't think he's as good as some people think he is. But in this type of situation, this is a freebie win for him, guys. This is a softball right down the middle, in my opinion. And he's fighting, obviously, at hometown. Some guys, maybe the hometown doesn't favor them. This is the guy that it does. He's going to be super hyped for this fight. He's talking, again, first round finish. I don't know about that. I don't know about the first round finish, but I do think he wins this fight by finish. You just can't bet it. It's minus 250 and climbing. You can't bet an outcome minus 250. You can't put it in a parlay minus 250. It's just not smart. There's zero value there. And obviously you can't bet Pimblett minus 500, 420, even in a 2-fight parlay. You're not going to get the value there, right? I don't know if you guys seen, but you probably heard the fight with Ilya Topuria, and apparently there was some words exchange on Twitter. Hopefully that doesn't lose focus for anybody, but apparently they're separating the guys in the hotel, so that definitely is interesting. Just a fight you can't bet. You're priced out of the fight. I can't bet it. I don't think the fight's going to go the distance. That's a bet that you can bet if you can get a decent price, but you can't. It's probably in the minus 300s. I didn't even look at it because of that. This is a fight I'm just going to enjoy and see how good Pimblett really is. Vargas is not, he's older. He doesn't have any nice wins on his belt. He's just not a good fighter all around. So Pimblett wins this fight. You just can't bet it. For you crazy parlay players that bet, 5-6 fights in a card where you don't profit long term, but they're fun. I get it. Throw Pimblett in there. Nelson is back. Gunnar Nelson minus 350 versus Sato plus 240. Line has moved, guys. Line has moved. Nelson's 400 into 400s now. Gunnar's back. It's been over 2 years, almost 3 years, guys, since we've seen him in the cage. He was fighting the best of the best in the division before he left, if you remember. Gilbert Burns, Edwards, Ponzinibbio. But when he always stepped up in that competition, he loses. He was always like a top 10 guy, but never a guy that was going to threaten for a title. Good news for Gunnar is that Sato isn't close to any of those guys. And when he fights guys at this caliber, he wins. No impressive wins for Sato in the UFC. Ben Saunders and Matt Valai is his only 2 wins. Nelson, much better guy all around, much better on the ground. Nelson is so much better on the ground. I expect him to win this fight due to wrestling and bringing it down to the ground and maybe finding a submission. So there is value with the submission. We've seen Sato submitted before in the past. So if you want to look at a bet here, if you can get it, maybe Gunnar by submission. You don't want to bet this fight any other way because there's no value. There's no value betting on him. Is he a parlay piece? Sure. However, my theory. Long layoffs, 2.5 years, 3 years, worry me. They worry me. Even though I'm not worried about Sato. If this fight stays standing, maybe Sato has a chance because he does throw heavy. But we just haven't seen Gunnar enough for me to be confident to bet this fight. If I were to bet this fight, it would be a small unit on the submission. Molly McCann, Meatball, fighting in her hometown, minus 135 versus Carolina, plus 115. I think this should be, if this was a neutral fight, like, they're fighting in Vegas, it'd probably be, even money. But McCann, I think she's one of those girls that fights up to the crowd for her country with all heart. I don't think she has a ton of skill. I think she likes to come forward. I think her boxing is fairly solid, but not a ton of skill all around. She's coming off a nice win versus Kim, but I think she's just a fighter. She's not going to go away. She's not going to be finished. She's not going to quit. I can tell you that at home. She's one of those fighters that will just give all of her heart. And what I see her winning here is probably by a decision just because of the judges. Now, Carolina has back-to-back wins. Not over anyone, impressive, but she does have back-to-back wins. She's improving. I just think it's going to be a super close fight. And if you're going to bet this fight, I think you look at McCann by decision just because it should go to the decision. Neither girl has any submission victories, or none of them have any clear knockouts as of late. Neither girl have been knocked out. Keep that in mind. So this should go to the judges. Both these girls fight to decisions. So that's the way I would look. And, if it's a close fight, which I expected to do, who are they going to raise? Whose hand? McCann's. Molly McCann's hand is going to be raised because why? It's UK judging, boxing judging. It's at home in England. So keep that in mind here. They will give it to McCann over the Brazilian. It just makes sense. Fun one to open up the main card, guys. Fun one to open the main card as long as it lasts. This is a fight I don't see going to the decision. One of the bigger favorites on the card is Ilia Topuria. I get it. Minus 490, maybe 500 now. Herbert plus 370. Tough draw for Herbert at home, getting this type of fighter at home. But it's also a great opportunity for him. If he somehow gets a win here, the only way he can get a win, in my opinion, is on the feet. I think Ilia Topuria is going to get this to the ground and find a submission, in my opinion. Herbert's ground game is terrible. It's not good. So I expect Topuria just get this good ground and find a submission. He's elite level on the ground, and he's improving his striking every day. He's well-rounded. So he's going to be a very tough guy to beat. Especially he's angry right now. He's angry because of the whole Patty the Batty thing. So, Topuria wins this fight. It's just very tough to bet. For you crazy parlay players that bet 5, sure, he's a ticket. He's a guy that you put on the ticket. But, even the finish, where I think he's going to get a finish, either by submission. You can get a submission finish. You can get it at better money. But just to finish the fight either by KO, submission, or TKO, you're paying minus 200 or higher now. So it's very tough to get to that on an outcome play, right? But I do think Topuria is the real deal. I do think he wins this fight. It's a tough draw for Herbert. Herbert was supposed to fight somebody else, and then now the guy dropped out and Topuria comes in. Topuria, remember, he was supposed to fight a few months ago, but he got dropped because of a weight cut issue. So keep that in mind. I expect Topuria to get it done. Am I going to bet it? It's very difficult to bet. I don't know where I would bet. It would have to be a small unit play and submission, but it's hard to give out those props. That will do it, guys. That will do it for the card. That will do it early time. Remember, you're not tuning in late. If you want to watch just the main card, I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern. But the rest of the card starts at 1. Good card. Fun main card. I have some plays I like on the prelims as well. If you want those and you want the full betting card along with my other plays for the weekend, head over to systemsportscapping.com. That will do it, guys. Enjoy the card. Enjoy your week. Bet smart and know your limits. Take care.